Hey everybody, this is Carmen from Easy Language and welcome to the last video of my Introduction to Cantonese series. So, to top it all off, I am going to teach you some common phrases that every beginner should know. So, let's go! So, to begin, we are going to learn how to say hello. So, if you've watched my previous video, you probably would know how to say hello already. So, nice and easy, it's lei hou. Lei hou. To break down, lei means you, hou means good, and so therefore, lei hou put together literally means you good. Next up, we've got how are you. So how are you is literally like lei hou plus ma. What is ma? So we've got lei, which is you, hou, and ma is what we call a question particle for yes-no questions. So this only applies for yes-no questions. You might be thinking, but how are you isn't a yes or no question. We answer it with good, not good, okay, doing good. But if you remember from the previous slide, lei hou literally translates to you good. So by adding ma to the sentence or phrase you good, it's literally are you good? So how are you? Or lei hou ma literally means are you good? So now we're going to learn how to respond to that. So you can either say I'm good or I'm very good, which is 我好好. 我好好. 我 means I. 好 means both very and good. So you can say 我好, but in Chinese, when we say I'm very good, so we've got the to be verb here with the am, right? But in Chinese, if you remember from my previous video with the asking questions, I explained the word 还, which is, I guess it corresponds to be in English, so is, am, are, but it's only used before a noun or a pronoun. So before a verb or an adjective, we do not use the 还 to represent am or to be. So in this case, I'm very good. Instead of saying am very good, we just say very. So we use words like very, a little bit, quite, not, these words to replace the am or is or are in Cantonese and in Mandarin as well. So here we've got 我好好. If you translate that If you translate that directly, you get I very good. So yeah, so 我好好. Now let's move on to say I'm quite good. 我幾好. 我幾好. 幾 here means quite. Next up, not doing so good today. 唔係幾好. 唔係幾好. 唔係 here means not. So 幾好 is quite good. So by saying 唔係幾好, you're literally saying not quite good. Now let's move on to getting to know people. What is your name? 你叫咩名啊? 你叫咩名啊? 叫 is to be called. 咩 means what. 名 is name. Is a particle used at the end of a sentence showing a request for an answer. So it's like a question particle or like a question mark. It's kind of like the ma, except can be used for any question. There's also other uses for as well, but in this lesson we're only going to use the question particle So you called what name? That's literally what this translates to directly. Next up, my name is. 我嘅名係. 我嘅名係. 嘅 is used as a possessive marker. So 我 means I. 我嘅 means my. Something that belongs to me. Another way you can answer, what is your name? You can say, I am. 我係 So again, if you've watched my previous video, you probably have seen this before. So I am. So you're going to say your name. So my name is Carmen. I can say 我嘅名係 Carmen. Or 我係 Carmen. So yeah, I can also say I am a teacher. 我係老師 I am a teacher. So the I am 我係 sentence structure can be used for things that are not just names, but also things like nouns as well. Now let's move on to other forms of greeting. Good morning. 早晨 早 means early. Good night or have a good sleep. So a little note here. In Chinese, we don't really say things like good afternoon or good evening. So we actually just say good morning. That's common. But no one really says good afternoon or good night. Good evening. And we do say good night, but good night is more like have a good sleep kind of good night. So not like good evening kind of good night. So a common way we say is 早唞 So 早 again means early. 唞 means to rest. So 早唞 literally means rest early or have an early rest. But it literally just means have a good night. Goodbye. So we've got 再見 and bye bye. So 再 means again. 見 is to see. So 再見 put together would be see you again. And then finally we've got bye bye, which is literally bye bye, the loan word of it's a word loaned from the English, bye bye. So bye bye. Next up. Can you say that again, please? 唔該，你可唔可以再講多次？唔該，你可唔可以再講多次？唔該 means please. 可以 is can. So I've got 可唔可以. So that makes it a question. So another way of forming yes or no questions is by putting in a negative So I'll explain the in a little bit. So 可唔可以? Can you or can you not? And then joy is again. So you've seen that in the previous one. 講 is to say or to speak. 多次 once more. So please, can you or can you not again say once more? Literally translated. Sometimes you kind of caught what they're saying, but it would help if they were speaking a little bit slower. So to ask them to speak a little bit slower, you can say 唔該，你可唔可以講慢少少啊？唔該你可唔可以講慢少少啊？唔該 is please, okay? 慢 is slow. 少少 is a little or a little bit. So 唔該 please 你 you 可唔可以 can you or can you not 講 speak 慢 slow 少少 a little bit question. I do not understand. 我聽唔明。我聽唔明。聽 is to listen or to hear. Is a negative. So if you put in front of a verb or an adjective, you get yourself a negative. 明 is to understand. So 唔明 means to not understand. So here 我聽唔明. I listen, not understand. So you're not understanding what you're hearing. So this is what 我聽唔明 means. If you were reading something and you don't understand what you were reading, you use a different word for it. Okay, so we'll learn that in another lesson. how do I say XYZ in Cantonese? So obviously XYZ you can replace with whatever English word you want to put in there. How do I say blah 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 in Cantonese? XYZ 廣東話點講啊? XYZ 廣東話點講啊? So 廣東話 means Cantonese. 點, if you remember in my question words video, basically the last week, you remember 點 means how. So 點 from 點樣. I also told you how like 點樣 could be shortened to just 點, meaning how. So you could say XYZ 廣東話點樣講啊? So you could add the 樣 in there if you want. So let me give you an example with this sentence structure. Let's say I want to say, how do you say mobile phone? So mobile phone 廣東話點講啊? How do I say mobile phone in Cantonese? Okay. I don't speak Cantonese. 我唔識講廣東話. 我唔識講廣東話.識 is to know, like to know a skill. It can also be used to know a person, but in this case it's a skill. So is your negative. So 唔識 is to not know. So I don't know the skill of speaking Cantonese. Next up, thank you. 多謝. 唔該. So I'm going to explain this. Okay, so for anybody who's learning Mandarin or speak Mandarin, Mandarin is like one way of saying thank you, which is 谢谢. In Cantonese, we have two ways of saying thank you, which in Mandarin there isn't. First off, we've got 多謝, which is what you say when you receive a gift or a compliment. Next up, you have 唔該, which it means 唔該 is multifunctional. So 唔該, it can mean excuse me, so like trying to get somebody's attention. It could also mean please, and it can be thank you for a service. 唔該. So it's the same 唔該. Okay. You're welcome. 唔使客氣. 唔使客氣. 冇問題. 冇問題. No problem. Okay, so 問題 is problem. 冇 is no. No problem. Sorry. So here again we have two ways of saying it. We have 對唔住. 對唔住. And then you have 唔好意思. 唔好意思. So the first one, 對唔住, is more like a kind of sincere, general way of saying sorry, right? So if you walk into somebody or if you have done something bad to somebody and you want to apologize, 對唔住 is the one to go. 唔好意思 is kind of more like, I guess more apologetic, you know, like I feel a bit sorry to do this, you know, I feel a bit bad about doing this. So for example, an example could be on the bus and you have priority seats and you see an elderly coming on. You'll feel 唔好意思 for sitting or staying seated on the priority seats. So you feel a bit bad or a bit apologetic by sitting in the priority seats when somebody else needs it. It can also mean excuse me. Okay, so I can say, hey, sorry, 唔好意思, can I ask you a question? Or 唔好意思, sorry for disturbing you. So that's kind of like the 唔好意思, what it means. And then how do you respond if someone said that to you? It's okay. 唔緊要. 唔緊要. So 緊要 is like, 緊要 on its own kind of means urgent and important. So by saying 唔緊要 is like, oh no, don't worry about it, you know, it's not important. So that's 唔緊要. Right, so that's all I have for today. So that is the big wrap to my Introduction to Cantonese series. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. If you did, please like and subscribe. And if you want to learn Mandarin, check out my Introduction to Mandarin series. There's a whole playlist for it as well. Okay, so for the next couple of weeks, I'm gonna take a little break from doing series. So I'm gonna do some shorts, okay, to like summarize these videos and to like get everything all together. I'm also gonna do kind of like random videos about learning Chinese. So for those of you who don't know, Mandarin is not my native language. So I learned that, from scratch. So talk about my journey learning, any methods that I found particularly useful. So I've tried a lot of stuff over the span of 10 years. I'm going to talk about life in the UK as a BBC, so British-born Chinese, how I maintained my Cantonese and improved my Cantonese. I'm also going to talk about my teaching English experience, because I have more qualifications in teaching English. So my next video will be, my next series that I'll be doing in about a month's time, or starting in about a month's time, will be my introduction to English series, which I'll be teaching in Cantonese. Okay, so until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!